Hello and welcome back to a brand new Pick a Side reaction after the NBA playoffs. Man, did the Timberwolves just smoke the Denver Nuggets 115-70. Before we knew what the outcome was going to be, I had asked Jack, Jokic, Joe Star, to be on the pod, to be on this live reaction. He said yes, but I wouldn't have blamed you if you missed out. But he said he rocks with us so much that he's going to be a part of the pod. So I appreciate you for pulling up, and I appreciate everybody being here. Drew, Dels, John, it's going to be a doozy. Can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, really excited to talk about the Nuggets getting their ass beat. Shocked the shit out of me personally. I said it. I thought that the Nuggets would go and win 4 straight. I felt very confident about that. But then the Timberwolves just came out here and laid an ass beating, and Jamal Murray and MPJ forgot that they're really good at basketball tonight. But hey, hell of a response from the Timberwolves, and I'm happy that this series gets validated with a Game 7.
Yeah. I thought they were gonna win. That's why I said I was gonna come on here.
We out, pick a side. Let's do it.
But it feels like putting bad energy out to be like, oh, I'll do it, and then when they lose, I'm like, I'm busy actually. Sorry guys. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. You got to take your lumps. It's tough, but like I said, after game 2, if you'd asked me, are we beating them 4 straight times? I would have said absolutely not. Like I didn't even think we were going to be here. So the fact that it's going to game 7 I'm happy it's in Denver, especially like the way that home court broke down with like the last 2 games of the regular season. It's dope that it's in Denver, and yeah, it's super cool. This is probably the best like overall series of the playoffs so far, even though we've gotten so many blowouts in it.
It deserves a game 7 too. This is a series that's gone back and forth. I'm happy we're getting one. We might get 2, depending on if the Knicks could pull it off tomorrow, Joel.
Hopefully they pull it off so we don't get a game 7.
I just hope game 7's a close one, because this series feels awfully a lot like the Suns and Mavericks series 2 years ago, where 2 teams that are on the same exact level to me, but too many of these games have just been totally one-sided. And I'll be honest, Drew, I feel like you're trying to jinx us by having the Nuggets win 4 straight. I thought they were losing this game coming in, didn't set too many expectations, but yeah, tonight was a rough loss to the Nuggets, and they've got decent amount of things to clean up on if they want to win game 7.
I wasn't trying to jinx. I mean, I saw 3
No, you weren't trying
games
to.
ass kicking.
You weren't trying to.
Ass
but you
kickings.
basically did jinx them. So
That's fair.
Take us to lose in game 7, please.
This game was so fun to watch for me. I love that the Timberwolves were able to pull it out. And you guys are right. This series has not really been competitive in terms of like game by game. First 2 games, the Wolves dominated Denver. Games 3, game 4, and game 5, I felt like Denver had control. I feel like game 4 is probably the closest one of them all, if I'm remembering correctly. And then game 6. I mean, we've seen 2 masterclass defensive performances, some of the best defense I've ever seen played in this series, games 2 and game 6. Anthony Edwards, 27 points. He had the highest plus minus, I think, in playoff history with a plus 43.
Holy shit. Oh my God. Well, am I allowed to curse on here?
Oh, yes, you are.
Holy shit. That's insane. That's so much.
Anthony Edwards warms up my heart in a way that even as much as I love Luka, Luka doesn't warm up my heart like Anthony Edwards. Watching him go to work like this, not going out sorry. I know Timberwolves fans were very anxious for game 6 because the history of Minnesota, whether it's the Minnesota Twins, the Vikings, the Timberwolves, is kind of filled with bad luck. They felt like they were going to lose this game. But this is a brand new era. This is a brand new era with Anthony Edwards. He's not going to go out sorry. He's going to go toe-to-toe with whoever's in front of him, forcing a game 7. I believe that they can win in Denver in that hostile environment. How they defended Jokic in this game, doubling him, every time he got a post entry, they would rotate to whoever was closest to him and force him to make cross-court passes, and they were trusting their defense to get into rotation because they're athletic and they're long. I thought that Jokic was making the right reads, but everybody else on Denver, they didn't show up. They didn't shoot well. They were hesitating on shots. Jamal Murray is the most that I've seen him look hurt so far in this series. I feel like that calf is really bothering him. He's not getting enough lift on the shot. I think they can replicate this type of defense. Maybe it's closer in game 7, but I think they can end up pulling off this series and they could be in the conference finals, and I'm excited for it.
I think what made me the most disappointed with this game is just how little the Nuggets, it's not even like seemed to care. It's how little the Nuggets really worked on either end of the floor. because Jokic was making the right read out of all of those double teams, and an open three, it's always going to be a good look. Like there's not really anything I can say to be like, don't shoot that. KCP, don't shoot that open three. But I mentioned it before we got on. The 27-2 run in the first quarter, 27 points to 2. If the 2 was like a tough Jokic mid-range jumper type thing. Every single missed three, it not only was just automatic, like early in the shot clock, and they pulled it and it didn't go in. It really helped Minnesota get out in transition the other direction. Like all of the threes are these super tough, long rebounds that Denver is completely out of position to guard this super fast, athletic team down the floor. And so, yeah, it just felt like they weren't engaged from the jump, and Minnesota was in a very desperate situation, kind of the reversal of the roles of the last 3 games, and they punched them in the mouth. It's a great, great win for the Wolves.
I have no clue what to think of this series. I have no idea what to expect in Game 7. I think if you're a Minnesota fan, you should feel confident. I think if you're a Denver fan, you should feel confident. But we're 6 games in, and I feel like I haven't learned anything. For both of these teams to be as dominant as they are, like these are, in my opinion, clear and away the 2 best teams in the Western Conference. Whoever they face, whether it's OKC or Dallas, I think they're going to take care of business in 5 or 6 games. I really don't know how competitive those series will be. But for how great these teams are, for how many just straight up blowout games, for, as Jack mentioned, so many games where on both sides it just feels like there's a lack of urgency. There's not a playoff atmosphere. Like this is the second round of the playoffs. This is for Denver. This is a win in advance situation. This is a chance for you to get some extra rest, especially as you mentioned, Joel, for Jamal Murray, who does not look like he has that same type of burst that we have seen Jamal Murray have, for these past couple of postseason runs. So I'm sitting here and I'm saying, I don't know what to take away from this game. In what world, in any situation, let alone the playoffs, can you allow a 24-2 run in the first quarter? And I don't even want to talk about the fourth quarter, because the fourth quarter, it was all bozos. And I shouldn't say bozos. That's disrespectful.
Respect Zeke Naji. Respect Zeke Naji. What are you talking about?
But it was all bench warmers in. But Denver bench is doing the same thing. Like I was, shout out to Denver, because I'm trying to get into this habit of after I eat dinner, I want to go on a nice little walk, try to help digest and whatnot. I'm watching the game on my phone, like halfway through the third quarter. All of a sudden, it's a 30-point game. Like I'm turning this off, doing some Zach Bryan for my little walk, and then I look up.
With you?
2-24 in the fourth quarter. I'm like, can we have some pride here? I really don't know what to take away from this series. I'm happy we're getting to Game 7 because, like I said, I think these are the 2 best teams. You can make the argument in basketball, but definitely in the Western Conference. So I would like to see good basketball, but I don't know if I'm going to get a competitive game. I don't know if Ant's going to go out there and drop 40. I don't know if Jokic is going to go out there and look like the best player in NBA history. Just game by game by game in this series have been these huge swings on both sides. I just don't know what to take away really from this game.
Let me tell you guys, the biggest, most important moment this postseason might come down to Micah Norrie's timeout at the 8-minute mark. Denver starts this game up 9-2. They're going on a nice little run to start, and it's feeling like, okay, this could be the Nuggets in the first quarter, basically putting this game on ice. The moment that timeout is called, a 20-0 run is started within 5 minutes. And you look at this win for the 2 Wolves. Obviously, you hold Denver to 70 points. You got one of the best defenses we've ever seen. I mean, this is an all-time offense that you just completely shut down for a third game in the series. But the biggest difference to me is Jaden McDaniels. The last couple of games in the series, he was a total non-factor on the offensive end, struggling with his aggression. And tonight, he came out, and the first bucket off that 9-2 run was his corner three-pointer. He finished this game a perfect 5 of 5 on twos, 3 of 5 on threes. I think he's bringing more of that ball pressure, stifling Jamal Murray. And Joel, you mentioned it.
He locked him up.
Not 100% in this series between his calf injury and also an elbow injury, which was flared up in the first quarter. But Jaden McDaniels is the reason why they won this game. The turnaround on the offensive end, along with what Anthony Edwards brought, because for this Minnesota team we saw in those last couple of games, even when Ant is dropping 44 points, need someone else to initiate offense at a high level. Cat today finished with 10 points, but he brought more assertiveness and quickness, attacking and beating when he got a mismatch. And just when Cat is playing quicker and Jaden McDaniels is scoring efficiently, they're going to have enough offense to actually beat the Nuggets because of the fact their defense can really hold them. But along with those few things, the bench production in this game, it didn't really come back to bite the Nuggets, but with Nickeil Alexander-Walker making his threes, Naz Reid on the glass, the T-Wolves just completely dominated from the first quarter on, and I don't want to look at the score after this game. That was a hard game to watch altogether at the end.
I'll say it was disappointing for the viewer. Obviously, we were anticipating a lot better performance out of Denver, who has been playing amazing for these past 3 games, which is, again, like I've said, why I felt so confident coming into this game that Denver would be able to handle business. Never in my right mind would I expect them to score exactly 70 points, especially like John mentioned. And I'm going to reiterate it because it's true. With Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, MPJ, we've seen this become one of the better offenses we've seen in this game. And that starts with Nikola Jokic, of course. And it's so funny, the difference night and day between MPJ this series and, of course, last series. Last series shot 55% from the field. I believe over 45% from 3. In this series, shooting under 40% from the field, shooting under 36% from 3. Just completely night and day. And that also goes to the fact of, yes, the Lakers defense is not anywhere near on par with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
No.
But again, it's him doubting himself for the first time. Jack, you and I were talking about it before this podcast started. I've never seen MPJ look at a shot and think that it's not a shot that he likes. And in this series, it's one of those where we're actually seeing him hesitant, not being as confident in his shot selections. And then you've already spoken about it, guys. Jamal Murray. We saw him for 3 straight games play good to great basketball. I say good because, there's been a couple games where he really hasn't had to do much, but we've seen moments where he was able to elevate. And we saw Aaron Gordon now start to initiate offenses, and that really started to give at least Jamal Murray that little bit of rest where he doesn't have to be hounded going 94 feet with Jaden McDaniels and being met at half court, whether it's Nickeil Alexander-Walker or an Anthony Edwards. So it's been tough to see that his inconsistencies, because for 3 straight games he was pretty damn good, but then tonight definitely was just locked up by Jaden McDaniels. Now let's go give credit to the other side. Minnesota was absolutely outstanding. Anthony Edwards just being the leader that he is, the dominant, the hungry, the fierce competitor. That's always what you should expect out of Anthony Edwards. And I say this, you are allowed 1 game of being bad if you've given me nothing but amazing performances in the playoffs. People did not learn that with Nikola Jokic in game 2 when he went on to win game 3, 4, and 5 in dominating fashion, being the best player on the court for those 3 games. And then people were on Anthony Edwards for the quote-unquote biggest game of his career of game 5. Of course, ended up losing, struggling, but it was the most that he was double-teamed in this series. And how do you respond? You're not just how you respond individually, but, of course, the team as a whole, going out there, 27 points, 8 for 17, almost shooting 50%, and was aggressive nonstop. Had a moment where I was actually concerned, whether it was a real bad lower body injury when he landed on his back, but obviously was able to stay in the game and continue until obviously they didn't need him to compete anymore. But again, his drive to win, his want to win, it rubs off on the rest of these guys, and you see it in guys like Jaden McDaniels, who is going to go, and that's kind of his co-star. I feel like that's just a lack of a better term I'm trying to find here in terms of who he's going to go to war with. Sidekick.
It's his
Who's his
teammate,
sidekick?
that he's on his team and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But I'm trying to, because I don't look at Karl Anthony Towns as that hard-nosed, gritty teammate that you can go to war with on a consistent basis. I look at a guy like Jaden McDaniels. He's going to do the dirty work. He's going to play defense. And then when you have him hitting consistent knockdown jumpers, hell, we become pretty hard to beat. And you saw that tonight where he only missed 2 shots, if I'm not mistaken. So credit to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I am happy we're getting a game 7, but I'm hoping that it is the best game of this series, a little similar to game 1, for that was maybe the closest that we saw this series at all. But again, credit where credit is due. Minnesota went and punched the Nuggets in the mouth like they were supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota in this game. Sorry, you can go, Jack.
I was just gonna say, I hope game 7, that by all accounts should be game 1 on steroids. It should be all of the same factors down the stretch and everybody playing up, but with all of the adjustments of a full 6 games behind them already made. So it should with that. If it's not a good game, I will be disappointed. And then I also just want to shout out Timberwolves Twitter for if we're talking about jinxing stuff, the way people were talking about Jaden McDaniels after that 9-2 start, I saw one of the tweets, it was a twist on, they got KD, we got Jaden McDaniels. Someone tweeted, they got KD. We got a giant steaming pile of dog shit. And then, and then McDaniels immediately just started nuking them. So, yeah, shout out to Twitter for I don't know, giving him some inspiration through the universe.
You think he was reading that? You think he was reading that on the sidelines? He's like, "Yo, I gotta lock in now."
He probably just hurt. He probably felt it in his chest. He's like, "I'm getting cooked right
They were
now.
calling
I got to
him
tighten up."
unplayable.
Oh my god. Yeah, it was.
People said he's unplayable for the last 2 games. I was like, unplayable seems a little harsh, but he misses his shots, and then he fucking turned it around and was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think the thing with Jaden is that you just want him to hit his open shots. If he gives you more creating for himself, then that's a bonus. But you just want him hitting open shots. The Wolves went on 2 22-0 runs in this game, the most that a team has ever had in the playoffs. They had 66 rebounds, the most since in a playoff game since the 2022 Warriors. It's a lot of things they've been doing. And you mentioned the near Ant injury, Drew. Ant's just a superhero. I can't remember how many times this entire year he's fell down hard, and you think he's injured. He comes right back up into the game and then continues to torch whatever team he's
That one
playing.
felt different. He was just lying still, no movement.
He felt worse. He felt worse
alive, please.
In the first round against the Suns when he fell on his shoulder.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but it's just like the fall tonight. It was like you've seen Family Guy when Peter Griffin falls and it's just like him dead still on the ground. It's like that when he fell on his shoulder, like you see him writhing. You're like, oh god, like it clearly hurts. He looked like he was out cold on the floor,
motionless. I'm like, what? Did he black out?
Yeah. I remember that fall. I was like, when it happened right away, I was like, oh, he's getting up. Like Ant is just not the kind of guy who really gets injured. Like for a guy who's as athletic and fast moving as he is, who's constantly flying through space, he's super tough and durable. And so I was like, oh, he's getting up. And then it was like 5, 10, 15 seconds. Then they cut to commercial break. I was like, oh shit. Okay. Maybe I'm a little scared now, but yeah, I'm happy he's not hurt. Like if that had been how the Nuggets won game 6 is because he went down and they made a big comeback, that would have left a terrible taste in everybody's mouth.
We also, I feel like, has anyone spoken about Rudy Gobert? It's like, again, that's another guy that I talk similar how we talk about Jokic, how I just spoke about Anthony Edwards. Stop being so damn reactionary. You can only put so much on Rudy Gobert when you're going up against arguably the best offensive player that we've seen in our lifetimes. Can you cut him some slack? It's Nikola Jokic. He's a 3-time MVP for a reason.
I agree with you, but here's where I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Because his offense is mid.
It's not that. If I'm Rudy Gobert, I would have felt embarrassed after game 5. I mean, even if you understand Jokic is an all-time great player, you're getting paid to play defense. You win awards to play defense.
Agreed.
If you're a competitor, you should feel embarrassed that just happened to you. No matter how great Nikola Jokic is, we understand how great he is. But game 6, you could tell he took it personally, and he played much better. And he did, and they had a better game plan for Jokic all around. I feel like earlier in the series, they were paying more defensive attention in terms of doubles to Jamal Murray to try to not get him going. Yep. And I think now that just has to be switched around because the way that McDaniels and Ant-Man, they're fighting over screens for Jamal Murray. They're picking him up 95 feet. I think at this point, it's like, okay, you just leave one on Jamal. You got to always have eyes on Jokic, and you got to give Rudy some more help so a performance like Game 5 doesn't happen again.
Damn, dude, Minnesota's point of attack, guys, like it's not underrated because like that's what helps.
That's Minnesota.
Yep. Yeah. But like their screen navigation, like the ceiling that gives your defense is the fact that like you're going up against this 2-man game that has obliterated everybody for like 16, 17 straight months. And it's like they can always generate a wide open good look because Jokic is such a good screen setter, and it forces mismatches. You wind up with like Reeves on him in the post or whatever. And Minnesota, like they just don't have that problem a lot of times. Like that has been one of the foundational issues when they've thrown a wrench into Denver's offense is the fact that Jokic as a screen setter just does not have a lot of effect on where the defender is and how it lets Jamal Murray get going downhill. It's really crazy.
Can you guys guess the last time a team has scored less than 70 points in the playoffs?
Is it recent?
Was it the Boston Celtics?
No.
Against the Cavs? Damn, I thought it was the Celtics against the Cavs.
The Celtics are in 2010 when they played the Lakers, though.
Lakers.
67 to 89.
How far
2010.
was it from
It's within
now?
the last 10 years.
Okay.
Was
Okay.
it the 2016 Pistons? Where's the?
It was 2016, but wasn't the
was
Pistons.
it the Grizzlies?
Yes, it was the Grizzlies Memphis series.
Cook up,
68
Jack.
to
I heard you.
94.
Yeah,
It's
that
Grizzlies
Grizzlies
not.
team was
94.
terrible offensively.
You've
This
been spending
was,
a lot of time with Nurse Sesh with that answer.
Yeah, shout out
Jordan
Carson. Shout out
Farmar.
Carson.
This is Jordan
Oh, man.
Farmar, Vince Carter, Zach Randolph, Matt Barnes, and Chris Anderson.
Yeah,
What a
that's a
lineup.
terrible offense. My goodness.
Hey, shout out Mike Conley though. Mike Conley tonight. Like damn dude. That's another one of the pivotal changes. Is like
Yeah.
him being out. And Ant, like you said, he's earned a bad game. It's totally fine to have a bad game, but like him handling those insanely hard doubles where Denver's like literally anybody else is going to beat us. Yeah, like they can't do that when Conley's on the floor, and you saw that tonight. And he was phenomenal. Like very classic Mike Conley game, 13 points, 5 assists, like 3 of 6 from 3, 50%. But the impact is like that felt like an impact all-star caliber game from him, just the way he opened up the floor offensively compared to last game.
He's a guy that deserves a championship before his career is over.
And to build
So
off of that
not
part,
hard.
Mike Conley offensively
All
would come to
people.
know.
Let's get Mike Conley a chip, baby.
He
deserves
deserves it.
With his
Oh.
resume, that's the one thing that would mean more than him having 2 or 3 All-Star appearances.
He might be the most
That's
underrated
the
guard of the 2010s.
arguably. And the
Surprised you didn't
biggest,
say TJ McConnell.
No, come on, let's be serious.
the
brother.
biggest difference in adding veterans like him is that Minnesota defensively is, especially in games 2 and 6, so one step ahead in their rotations. When they're double teaming Nikola Jokic, it's not the obvious double. It's where you always have backside help to where if Jaden McDaniels double teams the ball, Anthony Edwards is one pass away to pick up J-Mac's man. And that's what's allowed them to throw the Nuggets offense at a rhythm to where tonight they make 19% of their threes. And with every other defense you've highlighted, the Nuggets, if you're going to double team Jamal Murray, they're going to carve you up. But with this Minnesota defense on the perimeter, it goes beyond just Ant-Man and Jaden McDaniels. It's Nikhil and Mike Conley, where they have really good integrity off the ball, and their ability to stay one step ahead is what syncs everything together rotationally. And that is basically how you stop the Nuggets offense. The only way how.
Reading super
they
chat.
got- and they gotta
Pray that
shoot.
they're missing. I was gonna say, pray that they're missing. Like they did tonight.
They shot 38% last year, and this year they're at 34 from 30. So.
They've been. I'll let the super chat go in a sec. I was just about to say, even against the Lakers, like bad 3-point defense for the second half of the season, they were still 30% against them. The last 3 games have been more of like a regression to the means with how horrible they've been, but it's not unreasonable to think that you're going to get like another 32-33% game. I mean, this was outlier in the bad sense, but it's not like they're an automatic 40% 3-point shooting team on any night.
They were 19% tonight.
I was gonna say
MPJ
19 's
1 for
crazy.
6.
There was a lot of
Jokic
open looks too
0-4.
they missed, especially in that first quarter. I felt like they were getting good looks and they were just bricking them.
Yeah.
Booty Liquor 2000 goes, Nuggets are going down on Sunday.
Booty Lick.
That's your best friend, John.
Very funny, Joel.
No,
Oh,
Booty Liquor,
John,
Booty
he
Liquor
loves
always
you.
comments.
John, he loves
He
you.
does.
Booty
Booty
Liquor
Liquor,
2000
he's
absolutely loves
infatuated
and
with
adores you.
He's infatuated.
That fucking rocks. Oh my god. Hell yeah.
I'm jealous. I wish he was a super fan of mine.
Oh, that's so
I
funny.
can't read this. I'm trying to avoid Jujutsu Kaisen spoilers.
Bro, all
And
right.
funny-
Yeah. Santos.
Yo, Jack, it's hilarious that I know why he's saying this, because I saw you tweet saying, yo, y'all better catch up because I'm about to spoil shit.
Oh,
And I'm just
oh
like,
my
I'm not
God.
trying to mute, bro. He's too elite of a Twitter account, but I might have to because I've been so far behind.
Yeah, it's tough, and I won't spoil shit. And don't read that. It's just
I'm avoiding it.
yeah, dude. Where we're at, this Nuggets loss, I should have seen it coming because I got such a big W in the manga leaks last night. All of the
Nice.
guys that I like are back up, so it's like, yeah, not everything can go right for me in like a
The-
24-hour period. I
the
probably
one-
should have seen this coming.
The one thing I've heard about Jujutsu Kaisen, the only thing I've really heard about it is that if you like someone, they're probably dead.
Have you
They
started
probably
it?
Die. That's what I've heard. So again, I'm looking forward to it, but it's something I gotta lock in on.
Wait, have you started it or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
Bro, it rocks. And like
No.
this is so far ahead that like it's not even really going to be a spoiler. You'll probably forget about it by the time
I'm
you
not-
get caught
bro-
up.
Jack, you have no idea. I'm so laser focused on your face right now. I'm treating the super chat like it doesn't exist.
It's not
doesn't
real,
exist to
man.
me.
Yeah, dude, watch it. It's great. It's great.
All
It's
right.
an easy, fast watch. It's fun. The characters are sick. Yeah. All right, it's gone. It's gone.
Thank
We're
God.
chilling
I will
now.
say, I will say this
I was getting a
about
headache. I was really
Jujutsu Kaisen. The first anime I've ever watched that I genuinely was just shocked by, with the amount of characters that you get attached to, and then they're gone. Really,
Yeah,
like,
it's
genuinely
crazy, man. It's kind of like Game of Thrones a little bit, where like they'll just kill people. Like people just straight up die.
That's
It's
why
a
that
part of
show
the
is Hall
world.
of Fame-esque.
Yeah, and so it's very similar to that, but yeah, good fights.
It's
on
like,
top of
how
it,
are the
thick
good
fights.
guys gonna win?
Yeah,
This
dude.
is-
Oh my
And you know
God.
what's the thing? And it's like in other movies, animes, cartoons, whatever, you ask that question, right? How are the good guys gonna win? And something always ends up happening where like plot armor happens and then they win. Doesn't exist in JJK.
Yo,
Like
low
with
key.
Thanos. Go ahead, Jack.
In the recent shit, the bad guy gets the plot armor. Like that's the people get mad at the guy who writes it because they're like, dude, he's too strong. Like this is bullshit. There's no way that they can pull it out. And I mean, maybe they will. Maybe it'll just end like shit. I don't know. But yeah, the bad guy's strong as shit in Jujutsu.
I was gonna say
Kaisen.
Thanos got the Infinity Gauntlet. I
Yeah.
never thought that they were gonna fucking finesse that after he had all 6.
Jay Luciano goes no bias. Who's winning Game 7?
I'm going with the Nuggets. I do believe the Nuggets do win.
I mean, to remove bias is to remove the human aspect from myself. I'm not really. I'm a guy. I think I'm obviously gonna pick the fucking Nuggets, but now that I said it out loud, the Nuggets are obviously gonna lose. So I'll pick
Yeah.
the Wolves. But now, and so yeah, I think the Nuggets are gonna win. I just even if they lose, I can't handle a passive Jokic game. If it's a Jokic game where it's like the first quarter tonight, where the game's getting out of hand, and he's like, KCP, I believe in you. After KCP's bricked and he's a great shooter. I get it, all that. I need another aggressive scoring Jokic game. And he's had that when their backs have been against the wall. So I'm not like terrified. And we were down 2-0. So to even be here, it's great. But yeah, I'm a little nervous for Game 7 at the very least.
I'm nervous too, but if you think of betting against this Denver Nugget team, yeah, your minds. Going back to 2020,
Oh,
we've seen this
God.
team come back from back-to-back 3-1 deficits. We've seen
Get out of
them
your mind,
You're-
Mr. Moran.
multiple
Get out of
different
your
things,
mind.
including this one, back down 2-0. After
Mm-hmm.
that Game 2 loss, I was like, this team should be embarrassed. And tonight was very similar. But I think just like Game 3, Game 7 will be a new story. And Minnesota had a great year. It'll end on Sunday.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shut up, John.
The Godfather up there. Damn, he's scary.
Bro's
You know,
calling
Dels,
me
I feel
out.
like with this series, you've kind of been flowing back and forth. What's your pick?
Yeah, I mean, I said after the first 2 games, I was like, oh yeah, Denver's cooked. Like Denver's might not win another game this series, and then these motherfuckers go and win 3 straight. I'm taking Denver. It's difficult for me to really bet against Jokic. The Wolves are great. Like I said in my opening statement, like I have no idea what to think of this series. Like Minnesota could go out there and win by 30, and I wouldn't be surprised. And I think the Nuggets could win by 30. I wouldn't be surprised. Just kind of what we've been seeing. But Denver at home, reigning champions, the poise they have, they've been in these type of situations. I think you just have to give them the edge. But I mean, this is as much as a coin flip as anything gets.
I'm going with the Wolves in 7. And Anthony Edwards is one of the greatest human beings to walk the planet Earth. And that's why he's going to close it out.
God
with
damn.
7.
What killed me more than anything was someone responding to you saying, Jesus walked the earth. And I said, hey, good comment. W
He's
response.
right.
And you
He's right.
said, Anthony Edwards is my religion.
Believe that. Believe that.
Oh my God.
I laughed so long, way longer than I should have.
Booty Liquor has another super chat. Drew, my fandom goes to everyone Lakers fam.
Mwah.
Santos, another super chat. Don't watch Akame got killed. LOL.
Got killed. I never seen that. I'm
Me
not.
either.
I'm not as long. I like just TV, and sometimes TV happens to be anime. But like, I go through all sorts of phases of shit. I just finished up If anybody's watched Mad Men in here, or you're thinking about it, it's a great
course.
show. It's so
Okay.
fucking sick.
One of the
It's-
all-timers, man.
Yeah, it's not. It's like it's a lot more like no one's really dying. There's not cool fights in Mad Men, but it's a lot of like great
Yeah, Theo.
writing, great sets, drama, shit like that. So yeah.
Let me ask you
CRB
along those
goes-
same lines. Have you seen Succession?
Oh, dude, don't get me started on Succession. Yeah,
I'll
I've
be
seen it.
honest, near perfect show.
It's incredible. It's
Near perfect show.
Oh my god. Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, on that Mad Men point, the fights between Pete and Sterling.
hey,
Those fights are
okay.
always a classic. man.
Yeah, dude, the power scaling in Mad Men is crazy. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
CRB goes, Drew and John, do you feel that the Hawks should trade Trae Young or DeJounte Murray? Or should they trade the first pick? Also, Joel, I will send you some designs I did in 2K.
That's a great question. DeJounte doesn't have any trade value, so it's tough to really be like, let's trade him and find an upgrade. If I were Atlanta, get the first overall pick, and you finally get that opportunity to pair Trae with an awesome defensive big man, even if Alex Sarr doesn't become an all-star, that's what they've always needed. So if I were Atlanta, I would keep Trae Young for this year and then build around that pick and roll duo and then try to add as much secondary shot creation alongside them. After this year, if you can't kind of take it a step forward or see some long-term growth, I think then you look to move Trae Young.
Yeah, I don't want to reiterate everything that John just said because I feel very similarly. If anything, I'm contemplating trading that first overall pick and trying to get another player to put next to Trae Young and or DeJounte. But I wouldn't trade either of these two guys. Understanding it's hard to come by amazing talent and in terms of talking about Trae Young, a franchise level player of Trae Young's caliber. Yeah, I do my best to hold on to them. Unless you're giving me an arm and a leg for Trae Young.
I just don't think you're getting a return for Trae Young that's worth it. With all the teams around the league right now, I don't think many would be willing to hemorrhage all their picks to where it's basically going to make up the value because you have to build your entire team around Trae. And I just don't think many teams would be willing to.
This isn't a
sacrifice
slight to
everything.
Rudy. Rudy's amazing, 4-time DPOY. I saw a team trade 5 firsts for him.
He's more impactful than Trae Young.
Okay,
that was
Trae Young's still
true.
amazing
That
offensively.
was a lot different.
Yeah, and Rudy Gobert's one of the greatest defensive players in history.
Agreed.
That was
100% agreed.
a Minnesota team that got a new owner and a new GM that was looking to make a big splash. And
Hey, good
Gobert
for
with
them.
the
It
type
worked
of
out. They're a
beast that
game
they
away
needed.
from the conference finals.
So unless you could find a team of both of those things, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Trae Young already
Also-
did this, though. He went to the conference finals already.
Oh my god. I just
Respect him.
the way I look at it is
Respect
like
him, Jack. Don't disrespect Trae Young.
Hey,
No, that was-
let
that's
me
2021
talk
season
because I'm
before.
about to. I respect the way I look at it. Like DeJounte, great player, but if I have to pick, how often do you draft a player like Trae Young? Or if you're a small market and you're only getting guys through the draft, how often do you encounter a player of that caliber for all like the flaws he has about like, oh, can he be on like an elite defense? Can he even exist in that kind of setting? Is he capable of being the best guy on a championship team? All that. You're like, if you move off Trae, you're not going to have that caliber of player for like 10, 15 years. Unless Sarr or whoever you take at number 1 overall becomes
like
that
that.
caliber of guy, which this draft probably not happening. I'm holding on to Trae, and if the right offer came along, I don't think he's completely untouchable, but
No.
it would take a lot to pry him
5
away from me.
good firsts.
Yeah, I got a question for you
All right,
guys.
Jack, you cooked.
I came across this question on Twitter because I'm very indulged in Mavericks Twitter, and it came up, and I
Yeah,
just
we
thought it was
know.
like an
We're
interesting
aware.
thing. So I had this question for you guys: if you're Dallas, would you trade Derek Lively for the first overall pick straight up?
No, probably not. But I don't know. I mean, maybe that sounds insane next year because I'm not really locked into how good Alex Sarr is. I haven't watched a ton of his film or anything, but like you just know there's a very safe feeling with Lively. Like you asked him to come in, be a starting caliber guy from day one. You got it. And now you have him, you've halved his burden now that you've brought in Daniel Gafford. And so you can ask him to do even more in less minutes. And I think he hasn't been phenomenal efficiency-wise in the Thunder series or anything, but I think there's a lot more potential for Sarr to be a pretty raw prospect, whereas you know what Lively's doing right now.
I mean,
I feel like I would do that for the fact of You're still getting a big interior presence, maybe not as strong right now as a Derek Lively, but also can also stretch a little bit. We understand Derek Lively. He's mostly a lob threat. He's finishing near the basket. Alex Sarr, though, is not an amazing elite shooter by any means, can at least still stretch the floor a little bit. I think you would do that if you are Dallas. But again, that's not a knock against Derek Lively. Obviously, I'm sure no Mavericks fans want Derek Lively off the team by any means. I'm just trying to think super objectively, understanding that Sarr does have similar traits, not as strong, but of course can stretch the floor, which is huge.
30,000 foot view, you most definitely do that trade. I think Derek Lively is very similar to Donovan Clinton, who's like around a top 10 prospect. For me, he's a lot higher in this draft class. But like you guys mentioned, Alex Sarr is very raw, and so is Lively coming out. So if you're Dallas next year alone, you're for sure going to rather have Derek Lively. But the draft is all about potential at the end of the day. And taking a player like Alexander Sarr is going to take 3 to 5 years to become the better player is what the first overall pick's all about. And I think that's the beauty of the draft in and of itself, the fact that it takes time for some guys, whereas another player might be a lot more NBA ready.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair question. I wouldn't do the trade, and sorry, I slammed my phone on the table, but I wouldn't do the trade, but I think it speaks to two things. I think it speaks to just how great Lively's been as a rookie, and I think it speaks to just the state of the draft class. I feel like the strength of this draft class, looking back years from now, is going to be everything that's not like within the top 5, like all the role player guys that teams are going to be able to draft that fit their team very well. I think that's going to be the strength of the draft.
That's a 2013 draft. And I was talking about this, I was tweeting about a couple of weeks ago. We see that all the time, where our draft class could be loaded with role players. And at the top, it's not what defines the class, but rather the guys outside of it that kind of fill out a roster.
Okay, so we were going to end the show, but we still got more super chats. We have 4 more, maybe $2 super chat, no comment.
He said he asked his question that he just fucked up and
sometimes that happens. Yeah, that happened to me once actually.
Bro said my dumbass forgot.
He said he forgot a question, but then never asked one. So if you he asked it anyways. Okay, never mind. He
what
said
was it?
Sick shit at the bottom. You'll see.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. I'll read it now. I guess. Need Dell's oiled up twerking naked if Wolves win.
Yeah. Right take a freak. Take
At the buzzer sports goes. So if we have Dallas versus Minnesota, who you going for, Joel? I'm going for both teams. The team I'm picking to win is Minnesota. I got Minnesota.
You mean you're going for both teams, bro?
What does that mean? What do you mean?
It's not a lose-lose situation for me.
Yeah, but like in your heart, like what do you feel when someone asks you that?
Yeah, be honest, bro. You're rooting for Minnesota. It's fine.
You got to pick a side. That's the name of the program.
What's the thing?
I don't know.
There are 3 outcomes that I'm happy with this season. 3 outcomes. Knicks win a championship, I'm over with joy. Yeah, Timberwolves win, I'm over with joy. Mavericks win, I'm over with joy. Those are the 3 outcomes that can happen this season that I'm fine. Like as the NBA season, I'm good.
There's too much. Okay, so for me, the Nuggets win a championship, that's a good outcome. And there are outcomes where I would be like interested at that point. I'd be like, oh, Rudy Gobert has a ring. That's like an interesting outcome. I'm upset about it. Like, yeah, I don't know. Obviously not going to call you a fake fan or anything, but
Jack, don't be fucking afraid.
Call him.
Don't be fucking afraid.
That's covering it. Like to be in the conference finals and be like, I don't care what happens. There's a win-win for me, baby. I think there's a little too much weight in those agendas. I think you got to let your heart guide you more. That's what sports are all about.
And your heart's with Minnesota, brother. I've seen how you've been riding with Minnesota. I've seen how you've been riding with Dallas. You ride for Minnesota harder.
This is the thing with Dallas
against one of these teams.
With Dallas is Luka. Luka's the one that like I fuck with the most on Dallas, and everybody else I fuck with, but it's not to the level of like Minnesota.
Washington's like a top 5 player to you, so I don't
know. Not like how I feel about Jaden McDaniels. It's not how I feel about all these guys.
Yo, I was thinking we did like a preseason Wolves podcast, and you were like, Ant and Jaden McDaniels or Tatum and Brown, like the wings of the future. What do you think? And so like that's a real testament to how locked in you are on Jaden McDaniels. Shout out to that. That killed me when I remembered it. Oh my god.
Hey, listen, if we get games like tonight,
who knows?
It's a conversation. Listen, if we get the Timberwolves and Celtics finals, you know what? I'll say this.
Licking my chops.
I'll pick a side.
And Tatum's fucking up the motion because JB's been doing his part.
I'll pick a side, and Minnesota I'm going for. And I'm going for Minnesota because they got the best chance to beat Boston in the finals. I think if Dallas meets up with Boston in the finals, I think the Celtics are going to win. I think that's a bad matchup for Dallas. I think Minnesota can beat Boston. And what I don't want to see is Boston win a chip. That's at the top of the list of things I don't want to see. So,
Nah,
no,
he doesn't
Minnesota, I'm
sleep
going
every
for
night.
Minnesota.
I think we're all on board with that, Joel.
Free Ola 33. All love, but y'all need to respect Tatum.
Here we
He
go.
must have
Bet.
rejected a podcast appearance the way y'all hate on him. Drew, Lakers in Cancun. Joel, you're a Jets and Knicks fan. Laughing my ass
Dead
off.
ass.
And
Jets
John,
fan.
you sucked
Fucking
at
fuck.
Waldwick. Why'd he come for your high school career? What the
That's
why'd
wild.
he do this? Yo, what the
I can take being in Cancun. That was rude. Respect,
Oh.
John.
Gotta cook, bro. 1-on-1.
That's funny.
Talk.
Oh my
my
god.
God.
What,
He
John?
said-
What are you averaging at Waldwick?
I
What are you
don't
putting
know.
up?
COVID fucked everything my senior years. I averaged like 4 or 5 points a game.
Yo, I'm crying.
Hey, you scored at
No.
least.
My
No,
bad.
no way
Senior
did he
year is
just
kind
come
of
for your high
insane.
school career. No way. So CRB has another super chat, and CRB, you can send the designs to the Pick a Side Twitter page or mine. Joel, do you feel that a fully healthy Knicks beat the Celtics in 7? I believe in it, but what is your take? I do think they can, but we're not fully healthy. But I do think we could beat them. Also, if the conference finals is T-Wolves versus Mavs, who are you supporting more of, Luka or Ant? Going with Ant, bro. Going with Ant.
Yeah, so
Now
we just had to
maybe
show this
goes.
again.
Doing this shit again?
We just had
Oh,
to
my
show this
bad, my
again.
bad.
He
It was
needs
just on the
it.
bottom.
He
You're
needs
horny.
it.
You're horny.
Freeol at 33 goes, you know what? I'm sorry, John. I'm sure you were solid.
Hey, $2, you can say whatever you want to me, man. I don't care. Like that's fine.
The bar's low, Jack. $2.
Well, it's
$2
like
is
this is this is not
He
a
wants
person.
to be
And, like, shout out
degraded.
to them for supporting, but that's whenever someone hates on me, I'm like, you know what? You're not real. You don't exist to me. So I think give me the $2.
Booty Liquor 2000 isn't a real person?
No, Booty Liquor 2000. If you come like AI can't generate a name like that. That's too funny of a name.
That's a
So like
fact.
that's real. That's how you know it's real.
Yeah, so, Jack, I want to ask you this question. This is the last thing I'm going to ask before we get out of here. Are you familiar with Jalen Hurts?
Oh yeah.
Are you familiar with his post-game press conference quotes?
No, not really. I'm not locked in on that.
Okay, you're not locked in.
Jack,
Okay.
that's your homework from the Pick a Side crew. Do yourself a favor, quick Google search of top 10 best quotes from Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
And then also do the same thing with Anthony Edwards. Come back to us. Who's more goated? Who's more cringier?
Okay.
I don't want to influence your decision. So, yes, what Drew
That's
exactly
it.
said.
Mhm.
Anthony Edwards versus Jalen Hurts, post press conference, how they speak, quotes, how they talk. Who has more aura?
Okay, that's what I was gonna say.
Hold on. Throw in Joe Mazzulla in there.
That's what I was gonna say. Joe Mazzulla, I like his quotes more than anybody else. He's the
You
funniest
saw what
person
he
on the
said last
planet.
night? You saw
I
what he
didn't
said
know.
last
What did he
night?
say?
He said when you want to, like, a lot of people want to win, but not everyone wants to nut up and win this shit. I was like,
Talk!
Dude, and
Dog!
like I like how insane he gets. There was one where it was like, how do you avoid like the human mistakes in basketball? And he goes, just don't be human. And like that's all he said.
not another
It's
word.
like, dude,
Nah,
what
he's
is
so
wrong
funny,
with
bro.
you?
Too bad I hate
Oh,
this.
You
episode.
gotta listen. He was on a podcast with Barstool like a month ago, bro, and it was like the most like human I've ever seen him. But his mindset is just so fucked up. After he lost to the Hawks game in like the end of the season, we blow like that 20-point
my
lead or whatever.
God.
They
Yeah.
basically ask him like, "What'd you do after that?" And he's like, "I went to jujitsu and just told my fucking instructor like, just beat the fuck out of me for 2 hours." And you
Holy
saw the next
shit.
day he had a black eye, bro. It's like, yo, there's
Oh,
something wrong with you.
He's so real. He like I'm not the biggest Celtics guy in the world. He fucking rocks. He is so funny.
He is lit.
Day one supporter of him, man.
Oh,
Okay.
cut the cap.
And we're gonna cut the show on that. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. 369 live viewers. Thank you, Jack, for pulling up. It was a great
Shout out to
time
Jack.
having you
Thank
on.
Thank you.
Thank you
Jack.
guys for
Have a
having me. Always
a
fun.
great
Always
night.
fun.
Yes, have a great night, everybody.